Hey everyone, how you doing? It's Peter Doak here, and it is time for the PDG Advertising Podcast, episode 43. Let's get into it. So at the midpoint, I guess, of an incredibly busy week at the PDG Advertising headquarters, I am sitting here with my black book. It's where I keep all of the goings-ons in PDG advertising. It's how I organize my day every day. It's how I make sure all our clients are updated. And I'm at the very end of the book, and tonight I'll write down my goals for tomorrow in the book, in a new book. Some things just really excite me, and sometimes it's getting a new book that's really good. But sometimes there's a little bit of satisfaction of getting to the end of a book. So it's, if you've ever seen, you know, those flick books. So if you're ever like me and you had Post-it notes, and whenever you were younger, you didn't realize the value of resources, I would have drawn like a little story happening and used my thumb to flick really quickly through the Post-it notes. And when I did that, the little stick man that I'd drawn on each page would move ever so slightly. It was very entertaining. There were much more real ones, but it's really cool. I did the same kind of thing with my book backwards. And I looked at, so every day I write down, each of my customers, and I go through them one by one. But when I look back at the start of this book, and let's see what date that was. And we're talking, I think it's last year. I wonder if it is last year. Let's see. So you hear him flicking, so it's realistically live and 100% real bookwork. One thing I gotta say, like looking at this now, the first few pages of this book, and this is a normal moleskin notepad. I don't know how many pages it's got in total, but there's certainly a lot of all over the placeness about the start of this book. Like there's no dates, and it looks to me like this starts around December 2017, maybe November, December 2017. I think I remember starting it off in Vancouver in Canada, and some of these quotes in here and some of these points in this book at this point, but it's really hard to decipher. It's really, really hard to decipher. And then here on the 14th of the 1st, so this was in January, I go through our customer list, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 customers. And I remember somewhere around the middle of this year, so this is in January, so this book has been with me for half a year at this point. And I think that's pretty incredible. So you only get like, what, 70, 80 years in the world. And if you do go through one every half a year, does that mean that your encyclopedia of books is maybe about 160 books? So if you wrote a page a day in a book, you'd get about 2 books a year. And what that must mean is, and even that's only during the week. So that must mean that you can write 2 books every year, and you can write about 160 books in your lifetime. I guess that doesn't really count between the ages of 0 and 6 when you start to read and write, I guess. So that's something to take into consideration. Anyway, back to down memory lane with my book. So I've got all my notes in here from, we're looking at the 16th of the 1st, 2019, and it's all scribbles, and it's all random words everywhere, and it's very hard to decipher. And then it starts to take a level of order, and I'm nearly sure that somewhere around here that I started to really zero in and focus on how this book should be and how it should look, and everything starts to get quite underlined. It took until February, I think. So we're in the middle of February now, and yeah, bang, there it is. So something must have happened on the 18th of February. And right enough, it's something that we're going to talk about. The customer journey is on the 15th of February. And if you've been following the PDG Advertising Podcast religiously, you'll know that we've been doing the 5 stages of the customer journey. And it's not just something that I've come up with from nowhere. This is in, wow, I can't believe it. This is actually on the 14th of the 2nd, 2018. Huh. So this book has been with me for... Is that right? Is that right? No, it's not right. Clearly what's happened is, whenever it's January the 1st and you're still writing 2018 whenever it's actually 2019. Well, apparently that happens to Peter Doak a month and a half into February of any given year. Anyway, we're on the customer journey, and there's a piece here on the 18th. Whenever things start to look really structured, whenever things start to look focused, whenever things are being underlined, and all of our customers everything's like complete, done, and it's all looking good, and there's numbers in here, and there's figures, and there's dates, and there's everything, and I know what I'm doing at this point. On the 14th of the 2nd, 2019, not 2018, and it says bang, the customer journey, and here we are. There are 6 stages apparently of the customer journey. I've broken it down into 5 now, but the 6 stages are people who do not know you, people who know you, people who have given you their details, people who have purchased, people who have repurchased, and people who love you. That is an excellent description on the 18th of February of the customer journey. And that's what we're trying to affect all the time. As we move into March, we're still very focused. There's a lot of structure happening. My writing is getting neater. Everything is going quite well, and there it is. So the first PDG Advertising Podcast topics were created in. Now it's in PDG Podcast 2, but I'm trying to find PDG Podcast 1 here. I'm not sure where it is, but we did do episode 1, obviously. It might have been a case where we just ran through what we did. And I think, at some point we'll have flashbacks to episode 1, and we'll have the best bits, if there are any best bits. But right now we've got the PDG Advertising Podcast 2 written down here. And there's stuff in there about attention to detail, Google Shopping adverts, the snipping tool, finishing off strategies and creating Google AdWords. And look, things don't change much on a day-to-day basis because we're still talking about those things on the PDG Advertising Podcast. But I'm going to fast forward now, and when I'm flicking through, I just see the customers build because they fluctuated around the start of the year. It was sitting at about 10, and then it was down to 8, and then it was maybe down to 7, and it was up to 8 again. Just some comers and goers, people who were regular customers and people who were not so regular customers. But then we changed the model a little bit, and now we've built it up to 13 customers now at the PDG Advertising business. And things have changed. Anthony's come on board. We're recruiting for our next team member at the moment. Some wonderful candidates so far, and we're just finishing off that process, and I will get back to every candidate personally, by hook or by crook. But what it means is it's not really exciting, because now what I'm doing is going to start a new book. And every day is a new chapter, every day is a new page, every day and tomorrow is a new book. So I'm pretty excited about that, and it's just nice to have this book here. I think it goes to show you, the PDG Advertising Podcast is going to be a diary of sorts. We're going to be able to look back and see what was going on at that time, how was the business working, and how were things then. But here in this book, if maybe we can be even neater, if we can structure what we're saying a little bit better, that'll be quite helpful too. So today's been a great day, and something really interesting happened today. We were in a meeting and we were describing what we do, and Anthony, who has been working with us for quite some time now, has really, I was just really impressed today. He got the customer journey just bang on. He understood it. He articulated it to someone who didn't know what the customer journey was. And it was just on the tip of his tongue for what we do. So that was a big moment. That said that we're doing something right. It said that we're, working well within a team to understand, and he's listening and I'm articulating things well. It's not perfect. My articulation of everything is not perfect. It may not even be very good, but that was a little, piece that just said, that's good. So if Anthony is asked what we do, he knows that we look towards the customer journey and we affect it positively in whatever way we can to produce a positive result. And speaking of that customer journey, over the past 5 podcasts, we have been articulating that customer journey. And I just want to wrap that up because it's really enjoyable. I think what I'll do is I'll put it out as in our next email, where each of the podcasts has clips of the customer journey. So stage 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Laura, our amazing podcast engineer, audio editor, will put that together for us, and we'll get it out there to the world, and it'll be that series. But I guess just to wrap that up and to put a full stop on it, step 1 of the customer journey is getting in front of people who don't know you via online adverts, word of mouth, or whatever way, and putting your best foot forward. Step 2 is pixeling those people and following them around the internet so that they then know who you are and definitely know who you are. What we like to do at that stage is get in front of people like twice daily over a 7-day period, so that we are front and center of their mind whenever they're making a decision. With the result that we want people to connect with us in a more meaningful way. So whenever we move into stage 3, that is people who have given us their email address. They might not have purchased from us yet, but they definitely know who we are. They're definitely interested in what we do, and they've handed over some of their personal data to us so that we can get in touch with them again in the future. And then customer 4, one of my favorite of the customer journey, but if you ask me on any given day, any of these steps could be my favorite. Purchasing, people that purchase. So those people that have purchased are at a certain stage of the customer journey. They might not be ready to purchase again. They might not be ready to purchase something else from us, but they definitely are more interested in what we do than people previous to them in the journey. The next stage is people who have repeatedly purchased from us. So we've upsold something, or they've been a regular customer of ours more than once, and that's a very important group because those people really like you. And then the last stage, and I call it the last stage, but this creates more people into stage 1 of the customer journey. These are people who are fans, so people who have repeatedly purchased and are so happy about their relationship with us that they want to rant and rave about it. And there are so many depths to this customer journey, and I feel we're just scratching the surface of it. But I'm really glad and I'm really pleased that we've been able to take the time once, twice, thrice, 3 times 4 times, 5 times on the podcast consecutively to go through that customer journey. It's really important to me. It's clearly really important to the team because whenever we're asked what we do, we gave the answer, we affect the customer journey, and that couldn't have made me any happier. I was do a lot of watching of YouTube at times. It inevitably takes me to some crazy places. But one place in the last few days was something that was very important. We always want the quality of what we do to be really good. And at PDG, one of the pillars that we have is quality of service. But the other two really link in with it as well, customer growth and brand awareness. You can't do that if it's not of quality. If the thing that you're doing isn't of quality, you may as well do it well if you're going to do it. But a tester for it is the eyeball test. And this is what I heard. I can't credit this to anybody, and I would like to, but it was this guy that was on, it's nearly like a preacher, and he was saying about, do you pass the eyeball test? Are you looking good enough to be acceptable to the people that you're trying to convince to do something? Is your work passing the eyeball test? Is it neat? Is it professional looking? Is it sharp? Is it relevant? All of those different things, but it can all be summed up with the eyeball test. Does it pass the eyeball test? Great example, I'm not a big fan of Apple, but the look and feel of it really passes the eyeball test. They have beautiful technology, beautiful phones. Samsung passes the eyeball test. A shop front that has a broken window in it does not pass the eyeball test. Your website with a broken link on it does not pass the eyeball test. You taking an advert and for your local bar, putting a meerkat on it and saying symbols on it does not pass the eyeball test. It's nearly like the eye of the tiger. It's nearly like Ronnie O'Sullivan making a 147 in snooker. It's nearly like Messi taking a ball from one side of the pitch to the other and scoring and taking it around about 20 people. It's the Eagles on stage. It's the Killers on stage. It's Muse on stage. It's good versus bad. The eyeball test is what we're trying to achieve. And I've introduced that into the office. Does it pass the eyeball test? And if it doesn't, it's not going out. So today, I kind of did things a little bit differently in terms of my to-do list. I took each customer and I laid out 3 things that I wanted to do for them today. And it was so focusing. So I would put the name of the customer on a sheet and I would write out 3 things, plan out 3 things before I did anything. And I did that, and it really helped a lot today. One of them might have been schedule an email. Another one might have been checking on the Facebook ads. Another one might have been fix a problem on their website that they've been having. And just those 3 things, and then updating the customer on each of them was very good. So one of them might have been, create a report for the customer, things like that. So what I did today was I had maybe 13 overall customers to look at. And I broke each one down into the 3 most important things to do for that customer. And the customers don't really have more than one thing to do on a daily basis. Sometimes they don't have anything to do on a daily basis except maybe check in on the account and make sure the ads are running properly. So now every customer needs that at least once on a basis, but maybe on a day where there's a report due or an email due, it could mount up to about 3 things. But there's always 3 things I think that you can do for any business at any given time that anybody could do. So that was quite useful today. And it didn't take up any more time than usual. It actually, for some reason, I was able to work quicker by doing things in 3s. So that was quite interesting. And I think that moved each of our customers forward today, which is always what we want to do. This morning was really good. I don't know, there's been a lot of working out by myself, and there's been a lot of reasonably good, healthy eating. And I just wanted to mention that this morning just felt really awesome. And it was just something about the morning. I've been reading a lot of business books recently, and they say that the morning is your most productive time. I think that's probably true. I end up, trying to be productive across the whole day, but something about this morning that just felt really right. And I think in the PDG office, that was this is a good vibe, and it felt quite good. And everyone, that was it for episode 43 of the PDG Advertising Podcast. I can't wait to do tomorrow's episode. It's possible I won't do tomorrow's episode, but I may do one on Friday. But let's see. Tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow is a new page. It's a new book. And I wish you well with anything that you're doing. And I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you for listening.